Another common thing that is talked about when it comes to people suffering with thyroid conditions is goitrogens, and specifically cruciferous vegetables in the food realm. So, what are your thoughts on consuming these if your thyroid's already having troubles?
Yeah, so big context. Our food gives us macronutrients, or proteins, or fats, or carbs. It gives us the micronutrients, the vitamins, minerals. We often talk about phytonutrients. There's more awareness of that. People think about superfoods that have a lot of phytonutrients. The the honest concept is that phytonutrients are phytotoxicants. They're things that plant makes to protect themselves. They're insecticides, they're herbicides, they're pesticides, they're naturally occurring pesticides. And by luck of evolutionary time together, when we consume those in the amounts we would typically find in foods and in the context of a normal diet, those poisons are just the right amount to make us better. One of the most common goitrogens is a thing called glucosinolate, and that's in cruciferous vegetables. And when we eat broccoli, we get some glucosinolate that hits our liver. And if there was some twisted way by which someone could isolate that and take a massive quantity and have it actually reach their liver, there are a few things that'd be more poisonous. It's just deadly. But in the amount we get in the context of food, it hits our liver, and liver says, "Oh wow, it's tough world out there. I better beef up. I better get myself ready for action." And so you get better liver function from that. So yeah, there's a whole category of these phytotoxicants that can actually be helpful. Now, some of them can also change iodine absorption. So in those historical contexts, when there were cultures that were marginal on their iodine status, these things could make it just a little bit worse if that was a big part of the diet. So areas that had endemic goiter in the 60s, and if their diet was high in millet or something, the rate of neck enlargement or goiter might go from a baseline of 20% up to a baseline of 24% on a high goitrogenic diet. So almost no relevance in the modern world. I've practiced for 25 years. I've seen a lot of stuff, and I saw one young boy who his diet for about 6 months was almost exclusively raw broccoli and like pounds and pounds a day in the blender. And I'm not exaggerating. That was like 95 or more percent of his whole food intake. And he got a goiter from that. His dad brought him in to see me, and I saw his labs, I saw his neck, I saw his reports, and the whole remedy was just to knock it off. Eat good food, but eat a lot of food in different food categories, and he got better. So I wouldn't say that it's not possible to overdo goitrogenic foods, but if you have more than that in your diet, it's not only is it not an issue, but the very things that make those foods categorized as goitrogenic are things that make those foods good for us in other reasons.
Coming back to the story about that kid and the broccoli, why was he doing that? Was he trying to treat a health condition or did he just like broccoli? I can't imagine that would taste very good.
You know, if you can think about what you and I might have been like in our late teens, early adulthood, oftentimes young guys are impressionable and pretty. You take things just run with it, just go all the way with something, good idea or bad. And so he saw a motivational speaker, a pretty famous one, who at the time was pushing for a diet mostly raw vegetables and talking about some vegetables being better than others. And this kid heard that and goes, "Oh well, if that's the best and if broccoli's the best, I'm just gonna eat broccoli." And he did. Like, okay.
You mentioned the fact that it was raw. That pops into my head the thought of, there's different ways we can also prepare these veggies that are goitrogenic. Like we can ferment them, we could steam them, we could stir fry them. Do you find that makes a difference if somebody's a heavier consumer, or is it just not a concern at all?
Apart from it being perhaps like 60% of your diet or more, it's not a concern. I like them all those ways you mentioned, and some raw here and there is great too, but I wouldn't worry about that other way.